So this video is on multiplying and dividing surds, which you can find is chapter 3.3 out of your textbook. All right, so first of all, let's just quickly remind ourselves of the rules. So this first line, you can see it's the same rule. The difference is in the first example, there's no number at the front of the surd. And in the second example, there is. So quick example, that would mean the square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 3 would be equal to the square root of 2 times 3, which is 6. Likewise, the square root of 3 times the square root of 2 times 4 times the square root of 3 would be equal to 3 times 4 is 12 times the square root of 2 times 3, which is 6. All right, division. Square root of x divided by the square root of y is equal to the square root of x divided by y. So the square root of 10 divided by the square root of 5 is the same as the square root of 10 divided by 5, which is the square root of 2, because 10 divided by 5 is 2. Likewise, over here, 3 times the square root of 2, let's actually make it a bigger number. Let's make it the square root of 12. 3 times the square root of 12 divided by, let's see, 2 times the square root of 6 is the same as 3 divided by 2, times the square root of 12 over 6, which is the same as 3 over 2 times the square root of 2, because 12 divided by 6 is 2. All right, examples. So a nice easy one, square root of 2 times the square root of 3. We just go 2 times 3 is 6, so therefore it is the square root of 6. Next one. This time we've got numbers out the front of the square root. So we can just go 2 times 3, which makes it 6. And then 3 times 15 is 70. No, it's not. It's not 75. 3 times 15 is 45. Now, you would still need to simplify this one. All right, so this is where we go back looking for our square factors. So 9 times 5, 9 is our square number. So that becomes, my pen, that becomes 6 times the square root of 9 times 5. The square root of 9 is 3, so that becomes 6 times 3 times the square root of 5, which becomes 18 times the square root of 5. All right, next one. Negative square root of 10. Now, note the negatives on the outside of the square root sign there, so it's okay. If it was next to the 10 in here, we wouldn't be able to do this. Okay, but it's on the outside, so it's okay. So, first of all, what do we do here? Now, we can rewrite this as... hang on, I've missed... There's an error here. That should have a square root sign. Okay. So now we've got negative square root of 10 divided by the square root of 2. That's drawn terribly. Let me do it again. Divided by the square root of 2. Okay, so I can rewrite that as, try again. 10 divided by 2. Now, the negative, it's a negative divided by a positive, so we know it's going to be an overall negative. So we can put that negative back in out the front there. If it was negative 10, the square root of negative 10 divided by the square root of negative 2, my answer would be a positive, so I would eliminate that negative sign. All right, 10 divided by 2 is 5, so it becomes the square root, negative the square root of 5. All right, next one. 12 times the square root of 18 divided by 3 times the square root of 3. So we can write this as 12 divided by 3 to the square root of 18 over 3. times the square root of 18 over 3. Now, 12 divided by 3 is 4, so that becomes a 4 on the outside. And then under that square root, 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that becomes 4 times the square root of 6. All right, using the distributive law. So the distributive law we know really well. We can do it with algebra and we can do it with numbers. So now we just need to apply those same processes to surds. So we just need to multiply the term on the outside of the brackets by every term on the inside of the brackets. So the square root of 3 times 3 to the square root of 5. I'll write this out for you. So what I'm doing is the square root of 3 times the square root of 5. And then I'm doing, so that's the first one here. And then the second one is the square root of 3 times the negative square root of 6. If we want, we can, I think if the easiest way to explain this might be to put the negative here. Yeah, all right. And then negative 3, so then this one, take the square root of 3, times the square root of 6. So we get this first one, the square root of 3 times 3 to the square root of 5 becomes 3 to the square root of 15, take. And over here we get the square root of 3 times the square root of 6, which is square root of 18. Now, what we need to do is simplify this one out. So we look for a square factor. So 2 times 9 is 18, so we can write this as 3 to the square root of 15 minus, so if I change this into, let me write it here, 9 times 2, square root of 9 is 3 to the square root, 3 times the square root of 2. And that is our answer. Okay, we can't simplify that any further because this one is the square root of 15 and this one's the square root of 2, so they're not like terms, so I can't simplify that any further. All right, next one. Let's just do this the way we normally would without all the working. So you've got 3 times the square root of 6 times 2 times the square root of 10. Multiply the outside numbers, so 3 times 2 is 6, and then multiply the numbers under the square root, so 6 times 10 is 60. All right, same here. Now we multiply this term. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, and then 6 times 6 is 36. Now, we need to simplify again. So, we're looking for our square factors again. So, square factors is 60. We can have 15 times 4. So, that becomes 6 times 15 times 4. Take 12 times, and the square root of 36 is 6. All right, and then we get here, so we end up with the square root of 4 is 2, so that can come on the outside. So it becomes 6 times 2, which is 12, times the square root of 15, minus 12 times 6, which is 72. And that is all.